Hey, y'all, I'm Shane Sams, the host of the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast, the founder of FlippedLifestyle.com, and the leader of the Flipped Lifestyle community. Got another amazing training for you today to help you start, build, and grow your online business and take your online business to the next level. You know, one of the hardest things you can do when you first become an entrepreneur or you really start working hard to build this business that you want to create to change your family's future is to get other people to see what you're trying to do, to convince the people in your inner circle that, hey, there is possibility outside of a 9-to-5. Hey, we can do something different than what the world tells us we have to do. But the hardest person to convince is often your spouse, your significant other, your partner, somebody that you live with, right? Because you come home with this crazy idea and they just don't see the vision yet. They just don't understand it. They can't put the pieces together. And that can be extremely frustrating. That can be disheartening. That can even knock you off of the path to success. So today, I'm going to give you some tips on how to get your spouse, your significant other on board with your online dream. Because I've been there, I've done it, and I'm going to tell you how I did it on today's training. Welcome to the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast, where life always comes before work. We're your hosts, Shane and Jocelyn Sams. We're a real family that figured out how to make our entire living online. And now we help other families do the same. Are you ready to flip your life? All right, let's get started. I will never forget when I first told Jocelyn about online business and what I wanted to do and how I wanted to change our family's future. I was out cutting my grass one day and I heard a podcast that laid out the game plan for how to make money online with information products, with coaching, and working with people to help them accomplish a goal. And I ran inside and I told Jocelyn everything. I was so excited. I was so pumped up. I knew this was the way that our family needed to go. I knew this was the future for our family. And Jocelyn was just like, what? Come mow the grass. She just dismissed it out of hand. And, I think at first, and I did too. I will admit there was some doubt. There was some disbelief. Was this some kind of pyramid scheme, some kind of MLM thing? Was it kind of getting in someone's downline and they were recruiting you? Or was it even, were these people even telling the truth? Could you believe the people that were on these podcasts and on these interviews and what they were saying? Like, how could you verify any of these claims, these success stories, or anything that they were doing? And, so I went down the rabbit hole and Jocelyn stayed on top of the rabbit hole up on the surface on the ground. And, I don't blame her for doubting me in the least little bit. I went months and nothing was happening. I was spending 3-4 hours a night. Any extra money I could make off of a yard sale or selling something on eBay, I would do it. And she was getting a little more and more frustrated, a little madder and madder, and just wondering why I was wasting so much of my time because nothing was happening. Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever felt like you put a lot of effort into something and nothing was happening, but you looked around and it was happening for everybody else? That can be really, really frustrating and disheartening. And she started asking me questions. She started saying, are you sure this is worth it? I mean, are you sure there's a pot of gold at the end of this rainbow? Are you sure that in any way you can't do something else to make money, or I can help you with another dream? And Jocelyn wasn't being a disbeliever or naysayer. She was still supporting me. She still said, hey, go ahead, do what you want. It's your time. If you want to go and sell things and make the money, it's your money in that regard. And I will be cool with that. But I was starting to spend more and more money on courses. I was starting to spend more and more time as I got more obsessed and more frustrated. And the disbelief grew in my spouse to a very high level. And it even got to the point where I was starting to question myself. I was starting to question my belief in this dream. And I was kind of falling off of the wagon of my own dream myself, because no matter how hard I tried, nothing mattered. I would make blog posts and I would write every day and I would post things every day. And I would put Google ads on my site, like all the niche site people said to do. And I would create content to give away for opt-ins. And I just got nothing. I got no emails, no ad clicks, made no money. And it was getting really, really frustrating. And I remember one night I was about to go to sleep. It was somewhere around midnight. The kids were in bed. Jocelyn was laying beside me, reading a book. She was kind of propped up on some pillows. And I was laying there in a very sad state. It was one of those states. You ever been really depressed, and you're laying in bed, and you're laying kind of flat, but you got your head kind of propped up a little bit, and you got your computer, you got that laptop sitting right on your chest, right? And you're looking at the screen kind of with your chin kind of on the mouse pad, you know what I'm saying? You kind of got your chin tucked to your chest, and you're just reaching over it in this most pathetic, depressing way, kind of barely scrolling and kind of thumbing around and just reading articles and blog posts and whatever you're doing. And I was about to get ready for bed, and I looked at my stats in my Google Analytics dashboard to see if anyone had clicked an ad that day. And just like every other day before it, it was a zero. It was a goose egg. There was absolutely nothing there. And I remember being mad, not like furious mad in that moment, but like just mad at myself because I'd wasted so much time on this, and I was sick of working on it, and I was just tired of, not making any money, and I was starting to question everything that I had learned about online business. So I closed my laptop, threw it off my chest, and laid it on the bed, and I walked into the bathroom. And I remember being so depressed that I didn't even turn the light on. I was just in the bathroom, like in the dark. The door was open, so you could kind of still see the light from the room. And I remember using the bathroom and looking out the window, and the moonlight was kind of shining in, and I was just, it made me more depressed. And then I went over to brush my teeth, and I was standing there like with half my body in the light on the left side from the light coming from my bedroom, and half of it just in total darkness. And that's really how I felt like at that moment. I was like, I knew that there was like something here. These other people had figured this out over on the light side, but the rest of me was over in this darkness, and I was just like being pulled into the darkness deeper and deeper. And I was about to give up. And I remember in that moment, I just stopped brushing my teeth, and I looked straight up at the ceiling, and I just prayed, and I said, God, is this real? I mean, are all these people that I'm hearing about on podcasts and stuff lying? Is this a trick from the enemy? like to take me down a place I shouldn't go? Like, I have been trying for months. I have put in countless hours, and I haven't made a dime. And if this is real, please just give me a sign. Let me know I'm going in the right direction. It doesn't have to be win the lottery or anything, but let me know that it's real in my life for me and my family. And if it's not real, give me a sign that way too. Listen, I don't care where you take me. I'm going to walk the path, Jesus. So just anything at all, man. If you could help me out here, that would be amazing. And, as praying always encourages me a little bit. So I felt a little better. And, and I walked back into the bedroom, and I was about to lay down and go to sleep. And I reached down to get my computer to pick it up off the bed and go put it on the dresser. And when I picked it up, something came over me. I just felt like that I should, check that one more time. I felt like I should open my computer screen and be like, okay, let's see if I'm missing something when I was looking earlier, because I wasn't thinking straight. Maybe I was a little depressed. So what I did, I opened it up, and I was on the Google dashboard again for AdWords, and I hit refresh. And I will never forget what happened next. When the screen went away, it was blank. And when it reloaded, where there had been a zero before, there was 11 cents in my Google AdWords account. I don't know where it happened. I don't know who they are. I wish I could find them and give them a hug, but somewhere in either the data or in the click or while I was in the bathroom, or maybe it was a little before, I don't know how that stuff works. But when I hit refresh, there was a zero, and it came back with 11 cents, a dime and a penny. I had just been standing in my bathroom, cast in light and darkness, praying for something. I said, Lord, give me a dime. And he gave me a dime and a penny. And I couldn't believe it. And it was so exciting. And I jumped up and down and started freaking out. And I was like pumping my fist like we had just scored a touchdown, like I was a running back in the Super Bowl. And Jocelyn was kind of like, what are you doing? Calm down. If you wake up the kids, I'll kill you. You ever been in one of those conversations before? And she's just like, what's going on? What happened? And I turned the computer screen toward her, and she looked at it, and I said, look, there's 11 cents. I created something. I put it on the internet, and somebody sent money back. This is real. Online business is 100% real. You can make things, you can serve people, and they will give you money for it. And if we can make 11 cents, we can make $11. And if we can make $11, we can probably make 1,100 or 11,000, right? It's just a matter of finding more people. What if 10,000 people give us 11 cents, right? Like, that's going to be some good money that could help our family. this is totally real. We've got to do this more. We've got to figure this out. And as I was saying it, I kind of realized how crazy it sounded. I mean, this is 11 cents. This is a dime and a penny. It's something you could find in the couch cushions or of your couch at home, or on the parking lot pavement when you're walking from the store back to your car, right? That 11 cents won't even get you the shopping cart at Aldi. If y'all know all about Aldi, you got to put the quarter in to get your shopping cart. You know what I'm talking about. We couldn't even get the shopping cart at Aldi, but here it was. We had our 11 cents. And so my spouse could have reacted in any way at that moment. And she could have called me crazy. She should have said, go to bed. She could have done anything, but she didn't. I remember vividly her head tilting slightly to the left, and she just pondered it for a minute, and she just looked at the screen, and then her eyes flicked up at me, and she said, what else could we do? And that was the moment that Jocelyn, my spouse, my significant other, my partner in life, believed in me. She believed in the goal of online business. She believed that it was possible, and she believed in what it could do for our family's future. Now she comes on board. We go on to create multiple 6 and 7 figure businesses online. And it was all in that moment of belief that everything changed. So what I want to do is I want to take you through the process that led to that 11 cent moment where Jocelyn believed. I want to show you how I got her to the point where I convinced her to believe in me, to believe in my dream, and to believe, of course, that this was real. It wasn't a scam. To drop the criticism, drop the shields down a little bit, and convinced her that it was a partnership between us. When you marry somebody, or you're living with somebody, or you have a partner with somebody, you are together. I mean, you're going through life together. So everything you do affects each other. And I think looking back with 2020 hindsight, there's some definitely things I would have done differently now that I know, and I'm older, wiser, and grayer in my long dinosaur years in the online business world. But I do think there's 3 things that really turned the corner and got my spouse on board with my online dream. And I think if you do this, it's going to help you get your partner on board as well. All right. Tip number 1 for getting your spouse on board with your online dream is respect their boundaries, right? You've got to set boundaries around your dream at first, and you've got to respect that they are not on board with your online dream. I know it can be tempting to go up in their face and say, why don't you believe in me? Why don't you support me? This is our future. And you have every right to feel that way and think that way. That is A-okay. But if you hammer it home before you have shown any results, you're going to burn them out. And every time you fail, it's going to stand out more and more and more to them. And they're going to believe less and less and less over time. Realize that this is your dream right now. It's not our dream. It's not the family's dream. It's your dream. And you need to go down that rabbit hole at first by yourself. Don't jump into the rabbit hole, and as you're falling over the lip of the hole, reach back and grab your spouse by the ankle and drag them down with you, and then bump it into the roots all the way down the rabbit hole. You don't want to do that. Just pursue it on your own. Give up your free time that you would have had anyway. If you golf with your buddies, give up golf with your buddies. Don't give up date night with your spouse, right? You don't want your dream to have a negative impact on your spouse in the very, very beginning, because there is going to come a point where you can prove it to them. There is going to come a point where you can show them what's happening, and they will believe, just like Jocelyn did on that bed many years ago. But the worst thing I did in the future, in the beginning of our journey, was try to drag Jocelyn kicking and screaming into this world. It built that resentment. It built that walls. And then another thing I did was I tried to keep my life exactly like it was in the beginning. And then I did take time away from maybe hanging out with the kids or taking the kids more. I did take time out of me and Jocelyn sitting on the couch and hanging out a little bit in the beginning. And that was a horrible mistake. I should have given up the things that were important to me and me alone, my hobbies, my interests, maybe even some relationships outside, to focus that time on my online dream, where I wouldn't have been spending time with the kids or Jocelyn anyway. And I shouldn't have done that. And I should have focused on that and not tried to take away time from her or the kids. So I would say the first thing I would do is look in the mirror and tell yourself, this is my dream right now. It will become our dream later, but I cannot impact my family's life or livelihood for this dream. I'm going to set boundaries. I'm going to choose times to work on the business that are good for me and good for my spouse. I'm not going to take time away from family time or relationship time. I'm going to give up. I'm going to if I have to sacrifice some time, I'm going to sacrifice my stuff, and I'm not going to affect them. What that will do is it will allow your spouse to not really feel what you're doing, not really feel it. It just becomes a new hobby or a new interest or something else. And as you still focus your time with your kids, focus your time with your significant other, focus your time with that spouse, they're not going to even feel it. They're not going to get mad. There's going to be no resentment. So they're not going to stop you. They're not going to hold you back. And that's all you really need in the beginning is just let me pursue this, right? Let me pursue this dream for our family so that it can maybe do something amazing. Let me pursue this new hobby, this new interest, and it's going to have no bearing on you, right? And if they don't want to talk about it, don't talk about it. Don't tell them everything you did today. If you wrote a 1,000-word blog post and nobody's reading it, you want someone to just pat you on the back, pat yourself on the back. Do not spend an hour on date night telling someone about the latest and greatest blog post you wrote or how you got 5 followers on social media. Like, don't bring it into the conversation. Set really good boundaries. Sacrifice your stuff, not their stuff. And that's going to at least allow them to kind of watch from afar. They're going to be not as involved, and they're not going to build any resentment to try to stop you from going forward. In the beginning, you don't need them to be on the train, right? You just need to make sure they're not laying on the train tracks, okay? You're just making sure they're not stopping you or getting run over by your dream. So set really good boundaries, sacrifice your stuff, and just make sure that you don't negatively impact your spouse, and they're much more likely to get on board with your dream at a later date. All right, tip number 2 for getting your spouse or your significant other on board with your online dream is take care of your responsibilities first. Now, I am an obsessive person, guys. When I find something I like or I find an interest, I go deep and I stay in it. I mean, I'm the kind of person that can get into something and 8 hours later, I don't even know where I am because I've been so obsessed with what I was doing for the past 8 hours. I will get up when I'm obsessed with something, I'll go to bed on Friday night working on it and wake up, make my coffee and get right back on it Saturday morning. Okay. The problem is when you are obsessed with something, when you do love something, you can't put it first on the schedule because here's what happens. If you don't mow the yard for 3 or 4 extra days, that's going to make your spouse or significant other mad, right? If you're not taking care of the kids when you're supposed to, that's going to make your significant other or your spouse mad. If you stop doing the dishes, if you let things pile up and you have prioritized your thing over the family's things, you've got a problem. Right. So just like the boundary issue, we set the boundaries, like don't even tell them about your dream right now. Just work on it on your own time. Right. But take care of your priorities and your responsibilities first. Make sure as you sit down and you look at your calendar every day, work happens first. When you get home, you ask your spouse, do you need help with anything? What can I do for you? If you're in charge of mowing the grass or paying the bills or washing the windows or sweeping the floors, you better take care of that first and then work on your dream second, because every time you put that dream ahead of your responsibilities, your spouse is seeing you put your dream ahead of them, especially if they are having to pick up the slack. You've got to put your responsibilities first. Now, I say this because I messed this up in the beginning. I got so obsessed with online business. I would only do things that would allow me to work on my online business. And I didn't help with the dishes as much. I didn't help clean up the kids' messes as much. I didn't mow the yard on time as much, right? I would come straight home from work and get right into online business stuff. And there was no balance in my life. And I was putting it first. And listen, your significant other, your spouse, your partner in life is number one. They are the priority. The Bible says they're one flesh. When you let down your right hand, your left hand's going to suffer too. It's just, that's the way it is. So make sure that not only, like we talked about in part 1, that you're setting boundaries between what you want to talk about in your dream and your significant other, so that you're not beating them over the head with it like a club. Make sure you're protecting the actual to-do list and calendar in your relationship and in your family, and make sure you're handling those responsibilities, even if it slows you down. Does it matter if you succeed in 6 months or 18 months? In the grand scheme of your life, no, it doesn't, right? It feels that way. It feels like you should hurry, especially if you're in a desperate situation where you want out of your job or you want to do something different with your life, right? But your life is that spouse. Your life is that significant other. So make sure you're handling your responsibilities first. You're taking care of your spouse and their needs first, and then put all of your other time, all of your other efforts into your online business on the calendar. Maybe that means that online business time is 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. You just got to get up early and do it. Maybe that means that your spouse goes to bed at 10 and you don't get to work on your online business till 10 to 12. Well, you know what? Tough. That's it. You're doing this for your family. You're doing this for your spouse. Just make sure you're protecting the present so that you can work on your future. All right. Now, my third one, this is the big one. Once you've created boundaries and you're not boring your spouse to death, telling them about it, this new opportunity and thing that's going to nebulous change your family's future, floating in the ghost ethereal world over here. Once you've making sure you're being responsible and handling your priorities and handling your commitments to your spouse and meeting the expectations of your spouse before you work on this online business. The third thing I can tell you is just prove it. You've got to prove it. You have to make money. You can't quit. You can't give up. You've got to push forward as long as it takes to get to the tipping point where you can make some money online. No, it doesn't matter if you have a blog that gets traffic. It doesn't matter if your email list grows. What's going to make your spouse believe is when you actually make money online. So you've got to get your product right. You've got to build out your membership, and you've got to align everything with what you're doing so that you have a chance to make some money online from anybody that finds your stuff. And think about my story. It only took 11 cents. The concept, proof of concept, right? It's like when scientists are trying to build a rocket, or they're trying to build a faster car. Like, they don't build the car first. They go and they build a little baby model, right? And they test the principle of it, the theory of it. I remember I was looking the other day at a YouTube video where they've invented some kind of new airplane where there's no fuselage. It's just wing. And they just made the wings really big, and the seats and stuff are inside of the wings. And it's like more aerodynamic, saves fuel, like does all this crazy stuff. But they didn't build the airplane to test it. They created a theory on paper, and then they put a model in the computer. And then the video that I saw, they had this little toy airplane that probably was 5 feet long, but it was an exact miniaturized replica of the plane. They wanted to see if it would fly, right? You've got to do the same thing. Prove the concept. Prove you can make money. Nothing you tell your spouse is going to matter until the day you say, look, I got 4 members to pay me $50 a month. I just gave us a $200 raise, honey. I haven't had a raise in 2 years at my real job. Do you think we can make this happen? How could you help me do this? I think I'm onto something here. Once you prove it, everything becomes real, but that's going to be up to you. That's going to be up to you to not give up in 1 month, 2 month, 3 month. It's going to be up to you to push 6 months, 18 months, however long it takes until you make that first money online. And then you can go to your spouse and say, you know, all that hard work, right? That was the underwater part of the iceberg. All you were really seeing was the tip, because, you know, I've been respecting, you know, our boundaries, and I've been still handling all the stuff around the house that you want me to do. And I've been doing my best to meet your expectations first. But in my spare time, you know, when I stopped golfing with my buddies, you know, when I stopped, sitting on Facebook and Pinterest all night, when I stopped watching TV, the reason I did that was so I could work on this online business, and it paid off. I just got a couple members in my membership. I just went, what else could we do? Right? What else could we do? How could you help me? Do you want to help me? Oh man, could you support me? Could we talk about the schedule? Could we talk about those responsibilities? I think if I had another hour here, I could make even more money for our family. And that would give us more options and more choices and help us change our future, right? That's the conversation you get to have when you prove it, when you don't give up, when you never surrender, when you're consistent, prolific, and relentless long enough to start building out an income with your online business. Your spouse is going to jump on board. Your spouse is going to support you, and your spouse is going to believe in what you're doing to change your family's future. All right, guys, if you've got a disbelieving, doubting spouse out there, I hope that these 3 tips that I learned in battle-tested real time and have only written down because of a whole lot of 2020 hindsight will help you not make the same mistakes that I did and be able to succeed and convince your spouse or your significant other to be on board with your online dream faster. We've got another resource inside of the Flip Lifestyle Blueprint. We've got a training specially made for this if you want to go deeper and get more tips on how to get your spouse on board with your online dream inside of the Flip Lifestyle Blueprint, inside of the Flip Lifestyle community. All you have to do is go log in if you're already a member, and you can find that training inside there, along with all of our other trainings to help you start, build, and grow an online business. And if you're listening to this at some other time and you're not a member, all you have to do is go to flippedlifestyle.com/free. That's FLIPPED lifestyle.com/free to sign up for a free trial to the community today. And you can get access to more resources to get your spouse on board with your dream, and more resources to make it real, to build it properly, to grow it properly, and to make that money and prove it to not only your spouse, but to yourself, to your family, and everybody else out there. So thanks for listening to this training today. I hope that it helped you move forward in your online business. Until next time, get out there, take action, and do whatever it takes to flip your life. See you then.